Hello everyone, welcome to another MTG Premodern deck patch. After Black-White Control we have another deck of the same colors, a budget deck again, but this time it's different. This is Deadguy Ale, a midrange deck without a linear plan that uses 2 and 3 CMC creatures along with hand disruption and removal spells. This deck wants to accelerate with Dark Ritual, so you can play Phyrexian Arena on turn 1, or Hypnotic Specter, especially when you're facing decks that cannot answer the Spectre immediately. Dark Ritual into Exalted Angel. Nantuko Shade is your 2-drop of choice. You disrupt your opponent's hand, destroy their permanents, and in the meantime Nantuko Shade uses your extra mana and applies pressure. With this deck you really need to know how to mulligan. You want to start the game on a high note, so either Dark Ritual into Phyrexian Arena, or Duress, Gerard's Verdict, and the Threat. So Spectre, Arena, or Exalted Angel. Dark Ritual into Hypnotic Specter is great if your opponent doesn't have a removal spell, so it depends on matchup. For Nantuko Shade, for Hypnotic Specter, for Exalted Angel, one Bane of the Living. This is a card that can single-handedly hurt tribal decks like Goblin that swarm the battlefield, and at the same time this creature is a decent clock. In many cases dealing -1/-1 to every creature will be enough, so you can save Nantuko Shade by pumping it. Then for Dark Ritual, for Phyrexian Arena, this deck wants to accelerate, and Phyrexian Arena is needed for card advantage. Most cards in this deck have a good to great power level, but they are not as powerful as Replenish or Phyrexian Dreadnought, both of Druids plus Terravor. So this is a deck that usually answers cards 1 for 1, so you want to draw more cards than your opponent. Next, for Duress, so you can interact with your opponent's plan or just protect your creatures like Hypnotic Specter. Then for Gerard's Verdict, even more hand disruption. Imp to Turak isn't legal, so this is the replacement. You can target yourself and discard lands, so you will gain life, just in case of need. Then 4 Swords to Plowshares for Vindicate, great removals. The mana base, 10 Swamp, 2 Plains, 4 Caves of Koilos, 3 Tainted Field, 1 City of Brass, 3 Wasteland. You may use 3 Plains and 0 City of Brass. That is the standard mana base for this archetype. Sometimes you see for Wasteland, the mana base is the weak link of the deck. You need double black on turn 2, you need white on turn 1, like against Goblin Lackey or possibly turn 1 Hypnotic Specter, double white for Exalted Angel, and you don't have a black-white fetch land. So every other option is flawed, like Gemstone Mine, Reflecting Pool, City of Brass, Undiscovered Paradise. It is what it is. The deck struggles against red decks, especially goblins, and this is where you need Engineered Plug and 4 drops like Bane of the Living and Masticore. Dark Ritual into Exalted Angel. Other options for the main deck. There are just too many, but none of them is irresistible. I like using Enlightened Tutor and the package, Masticore, Seal of Cleansing, Phyrexian Furnace. Other creatures, some players use Black Knight. Spectral Lynx is great against green, but it's quite underwhelming otherwise. Main hitters, Phyrexian Skuta, Greening Demon. Then, bigger stuff, Eternal Dragon, you can cycle it for Plains. Visara, its casting cost is a bit too high, 6 mana. It would be a nice creature here otherwise, but it's not Exalted Angel. Luckily, Angel has Morph and it gives you life points, so that's a different animal. Removals, Disenchant, Smother, Death Grasp. Next, the sideboard. We have Graveyard Hate, 2 Withered Wretch, 2 Tormod Script, 1 Enlightened Tutor, which clearly acts as an extra copy for whatever card you need. Almost every card in the sideboard is either an artifact or an enchantment. Cards against red, 2 Circle of Protection red, 1 Warmth, 1 Masticore. Joining the Creature Hate, we have 3 Engineered Plug. Then 2 Seal of Cleansing, and finally 1 Cursed Totem. Other options for the sideboard are Sacred Ground, Aura of Silence, Disenchant, Infest, Perish, Smother, Vendetta, Phyrexian Furnace, Planar Void, Haunting Echoes, Conversion, Sphere of Law, Diabolic Edict, Chiner's Edict. There are so many options, and there are cards that have a similar effect, usually 2 cards that look almost the same. It's quite easy to understand what they do, and they are somewhat interchangeable. They serve a role, and the pros and the cons of this deck don't depend on which one you end up playing, they depend on the main deck. Overall, I think Black-White Control is more popular, and for a reason: consistency. Anyway, this deck is worth considering, it's funny, and people like to play with those black and white cards. Thanks for watching, and see you again for more.